Hi everyone. Let me take an opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Raghu, Assistant Professor of English from School of Sciences and Humanities, SR University, which is located in Warangal, Telangana. As per NEP 2020 education policy, it becomes mandatory to introduce IKS, which stands for Indian Knowledge System in the UG level. Either it is engineering or general degrees courses. But in my observation, there are many students in the UG level have been facing the issue to understand the ancient knowledge and the topics of Indian knowledge system. So that's the reason I have decided to prepare a series of lectures on Indian knowledge system for the benefit of the students. I hope these lectures would satisfy you. In addition to that, being the citizen of a country, it is our prior responsibility to have a knowledge on our ancient times. So that is why not only the UG students actually, so it is a responsibility of every Indian citizen to have a knowledge on ancient Indian system. So let's proceed with the lesson 1, basic view of Indian knowledge system. First, let us start with the basic question. What is Indian knowledge system? In short, we call it as IKS. Indian knowledge system, IKS, refers to ancient wisdom, sciences, and traditions which have been developed in India during the ancient times. So it is very clear whatever the knowledge has been developed in the ancient times, whatever the wisdom our ancestors had, whatever the contributions they have given to the sciences, learning about that ancient knowledge, we call it as Indian knowledge system. So our ancestors are the repository of knowledge. They have laid a strong foundation for the modern civilization. Whatever the firm foundation they have laid, and based on that, we are moving forward confidently and fighting competitively with the other countries of this universe. They have given many contribution to many fields such as philosophy, science, arts, medicine, mathematics, and education. So there are many ancient scholars or researchers have contributed to the different fields. So whatever the contributions they have laid, and based on that, we are building our modern civilization. But most of the people in the modern times, they are not understanding the value of Indian ancient knowledge system. So that's why the central government make it mandatory to understand the value of our ancient knowledge system. So in the ancient times, whatever the knowledge they had, they used to pass the knowledge by using two traditions, either through oral tradition or written tradition. That means they used to communicate or transfer the knowledge either through oral communication or through written communication. The best example is nothing but they believe in Guru Sishya tradition, which means the students or the Sishyas who would like to learn something from the Gurus actually, they would like to go to the Gurukulas and request the Gurus to learn something from them. If they accepted, they become the Sishyas to them. Whatever the knowledge they have acquired from the Gurus, they used to pass the information to the world by using these two traditions such as oral and written traditions. So that is what the basic understanding of IKS. So let us go further. What are the key features of IKS, Indian Knowledge System? The first important key feature of IKS is holistic. What is the meaning of holistic? So our ancient times, our ancestors used to believe that everything is interrelated and interconnected. What does it mean? They never see the subjects separately, like our modern education system. So for example, if you see the medicine, we have different subfields in the medicine in the modern times, such as ophthalmology, psychology, right? There are different fields are there in the cardiology, in the medical field now. But in the ancient times, they used to observe everything into one single entity, and they firmly believed that everything is interrelated and interconnected in this universe. Okay, they believe that it connects nature, human life, society, and universe. All these things are interrelated and interconnected according to the ancestors and ancient times. The best example is nothing but trees gives us oxygen and we are going to take it to survive. Simultaneously, we are releasing carbon dioxide and which is essential for trees to survive. So that is what the belief of ancestors or ancient times. They firmly believe that in this universe, everything is interrelated and interconnected. That is the first and foremost feature of Indian knowledge system. What is the second important quality of IKS? Our ancestors strongly believe practical and experiential learning. What it means, learning by doing and experiencing, not just memorizing the concept. There are many people in the modern education system, especially the teachers or the students, they always try to encourage the rote memorization. That is nothing but by hearting, but which is a wrong concept according to our ancestors. They firmly believe learning by doing. They strongly believe that the students have to experience the facts. Whatever the knowledge they are learning from the gurus, actually, they used to apply the knowledge in the real time situations. That is called experimental learning. That is called hands on approach and practical learning. That is the firm belief of our ancestors in regard of our education system is concerned. What are the key features of ancient education system? It is purely activity based learning, not just teaching some theoretical concepts. They firmly focused on activity oriented learning. Okay, and nature connected education. You know that our ancestors always loved to live with the nature. They gave utmost priority for the nature. Of course, in the modern civilization, in the name of industrialization, in the name of development, actually, we are away from the nature. That's the reason a lot of pollution, global warming, many health issues are coming. Okay, even in the young age also. But our ancestors always loved to live with the nature. They gave utmost priority to the nature. Even the education is also primarily connected with the nature. Okay, it focuses on skill enhancement and most importantly, value oriented approach. They firmly believe that education is the manifestation of attitude. Okay, so they used to induce moral values and ethical values in the name of education to the students during the ancient times. In the recent times, I have observed a schoolboy was hitting a teacher ruthlessly. So they don't have a respect in the recent times towards the teachers. But in the ancient times, actually, the Sishyas have a lot of respect towards the teachers. They plead and request the teachers to teach them. But now the situations were contradictory and contrast. And what are the other key features of ancient education? They believe in observation and participation. So before they are going to participate, they practically learn the things, they observe the things, and based on that observation, they will involve in the activity. So these are all the key features of ancient Indian education system. For example, yoga and meditation. They don't just give the priority for theoretical concepts, rather, they understand through regular practice. So, whatever the things they have learned from the gurus, they apply that by doing in action. Agriculture, they believe in hands on farming, experience. So, whatever the things they have learned from gurus, actually, they will practically implement them on the fields. Ayurveda, not just the theory. Okay, so whatever they have learned from gurus, actually, they used to follow that in the real time situations. So that is what the ancient Indian education system. In IKS, learning is not just a taught, rather it is experienced. That is a belief of our ancestors regarding ancient education system is concerned. What is the third important feature of IKS? Our ancient education system gave utmost priority for ethical and value-based approach. I have already mentioned that in the previous slide. They firmly believe that rather than just inducing the knowledge to the students, they give utmost priority in cultivating their behavior. grooming their behavior. That's why they always believe that education is the manifestation of students' attitude and behavior. Focus on moral values and righteous living. They don't just teach the knowledge, rather, they induce the moral values in the students. They make them to understand what is the right living in this nature or in this universe. They guide the individuals or the students to live with honesty, responsibility, and with peace. So these kind of ethical values have been taught by our ancient teachers. That's the reason they have given a strong foundation to our modern civilization. But unfortunately, whatever the guidelines they have given to us, we have been ignoring them. Teachers' value has been day by day has been reducing in the recent times. What are the core values of ancient education system? They believe in five values: dharma, ahimsa, satya, seva, and respect. Dharma, doing the right duty. Ahimsa, they believe in non-violence. They were against to the violence situations. Satya, being trust and worthy. Truthfulness. If somebody believes you, you have to keep up the trust. Seva, selfless service. There are many ancestors have selflessly service for the development of the universe, for the growth of the human beings. Respect towards the elders, teachers, and nature. These are all the core values used to taught by our ancestors to the students. There are some examples: respecting guru or the teacher in Gurukula system. These are all the ethical values. And this kind of value-based education they have maintained in the ancient times. Practicing non-violence in the daily life. They don't do harm to any people unnecessarily. Unnecessarily. Helping others through seva. They have given selfless service to many people for the human in the name of humanitarian grounds. Protecting nature. In the recent times, in the name of industrialization and development, we are cutting the trees. The deforestation has been increasing day by day. And we are misusing the rivers, not protecting the rivers actually. Okay, in cities especially, they are encroaching the rivers also and constructing the buildings. But in the ancient times, actually, they used to preserve the rivers, protect the rivers, and they treated them as the sacred places, holy places. So IKS teaches not just how to live in the ancient times, rather how rightly live to the students. Such a ethical based approach has been followed by our ancestors during the ancient times in regard of education is concerned. What is the fourth important quality of IKS? Harmony with nature. I have already told that our ancestors always loved to live with the nature. Okay. Unfortunately, in the modern times, actually, in the name of development, in the name of city life, actually, we are being away from the nature. Of course, in the recent times, I've observed that some of the people, again, understanding the value of living the nature, during their vacation, they are going back to the farmhouses, okay, living with the nature. They're understanding the value of the nature. They started understanding the value of the nature. But our ancestors always lived with the nature. They always protect the nature. They always treat the nature as a god or a goddess in the ancient times. What are the key ideas? Respect all living beings. They don't do the harm to any living beings unnecessarily in the ancient times. They don't kill them. They respect them. And they have given the scope for their living. But in the modern civilization, actually, we are cutting the trees, we are cutting the forests, and we are trying to encroach the forest also. That's the reason there are many animals are coming into the cities in the recent times. We have seen many news also. Why the animals are coming to the cities? Because we are capturing, encroaching the forests. That's the reason animals, they don't have a shelter. They are coming into the cities. They are threatening the humans. So it is not their fault actually. We are encroaching their places. in the name of development. But the ancestors, they have given their own space to live happily. They respect every living being on this earth. They used to utilize the resources carefully. They don't want to waste them. I have seen many places actually the water is being wasted. There are many other places the water is not available. They know the value of the water, but unfortunately, we are not following that. Whoever is having the surplus amount of water, they don't understand the value of the water. They don't understand the value of the natural resources. Once we lost it, then we will understand it. Otherwise, if you go to the places where the water is not available, where they have been struggling hard to take a cup of water, then you will understand what is the value of the water, what is the value of natural resources. Okay, and in addition to that, they always follow natural cycles. They do farming according to seasons, but unfortunately, seasons are being changed in the modern civilization in the name of global warming. Pollution. Who are the culprits? We are the culprits. In the name of pollution, okay, the day by day, the intensity of the global warming has been increasing. The seasons have been drastically changed. Okay, I remember that during my childhood, most of the farmers used to do cultivation according to the seasons. But now it is completely changed. During the summer, we are having the rains. During the winter, we are having the hot summer. This is all effect of the global warming. And who are the reasons for that? And we are the reasons for that. What are the other examples? Rainwater harvesting. They used to preserve the rainwater, okay, and which they use it for harvesting, for cultivation, for farming. Sacred groves in villages. In the name of modern development and modern civilization or industrialization, we are cutting the trees even in the forest also. But in the ancient times, actually, they used to develop the groves, small forests. Groves are nothing but small forests. And they treated them as gods and goddess. And they prefer in organic farming. Now we are doing the farming with fertilizers and everything. But they did organic farming. That's why our ancestors used to live more than 100 years. But now it becomes very difficult to live, okay, and maintaining the healthy life up to at least 50 and 40 years. After 40s, we have been getting number of health issues, whether it is BPs, sugar, or whatever, because of the food. Even the fruits we are eating, actually, they are not organic. The fertilizers are going inside and leads to many health issues. So whatever the lifestyle that our ancestors have followed, that is the best one. Unfortunately, we are not realizing the significance of it. Of course, some of the people in the recent times started understanding the importance of it, and they are following in their regular lifestyle in this busy world also. And we need to appreciate them. So they have a care for nature, and they strongly believe that if they care the nature, nature cares them. So that is a strong belief of our ancient people. In the previous slides, we already had a discussion on what is Indian knowledge system and what are the key features of Indian knowledge system. We already discussed that they strongly believe that everything is interconnected and interrelated in the nature. They love to live with the nature, and they used to transmit the knowledge by using oral and written traditions. But the question is, what are the sources of their knowledge? There are many sources they have to teach to the Sishyas and students, such as Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, and epics. Each one has its own significance in transmitting the knowledge. If you take Vedas, four Vedas were there in the ancient times. Even now, they are the foundations of knowledge in the modern civilization. What are the four Vedas we have? Rig Veda, Ajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda. You may have a doubt what is the importance of them. They teach prayers, rituals, that is nothing but how to perform pujas during festivals and daily life. And they preserve the wisdom. So Vedas are the spiritual books. And we have Upanishads like Isha, Kena, Katha. What is the significance of these Upanishads in the ancient times? They teach self-realization and ultimate truth to the people of ancient times. Puranas. They have different Puranas actually. Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana. What is the significance of them? They narrate the stories and legends, preserving culture. So you know that in the ancient times they have different cultures actually. They used to preserve them and narrate them in the name of Puranas. And they used to narrate the moral values. And they used to preserve the history in the name of Puranas. And we have great epics in India, such as Ramayana, Mahabharata, Quran, Bible. All these epics are going to teach something about Dharma, the righteous living, ethics, and human values. So these are all the different valuable resources of our ancient India. There are some people are going to pose a question. What is the contribution of ancient India? I have given the answer with the title, Ancient India, the world's first classroom. Because there are many scholars and researchers, and there were many ancestors have contributed many things to the different fields. Whatever the foundations they had laid during the ancient times, we are constructing the modern civilization on their roots. That everyone has to understand it. First, if you take health and wellness, the ancientors and the ancient people, they strongly believe that healthy body gives us healthy mind. That's why they encourage us yoga to keep our body flexible. They believe in Ayurveda, natural medicine. Even now, if you observe carefully, our grandparents used to give some kind of suggestions to follow Ayurveda tips. For example, if you have any small injury, and immediately your grandparents, a grandmother or mother used to apply the turmeric on that, and it acts like an antibiotic. And if you have a cough, you can eat tulsi leaves. So your cough is going to be controlled. So all this knowledge has been transmitted from the ancient India only. And what is the second point? Traditional knowledge in mathematics and physical sciences. There are many ancestors have contributed. There are many scholars, researchers have contributed to the field of mathematics and physical sciences. Ancient ways of learning maths and science. For example, if you take Aryabhatta, who was the first person who invented the zero long back in the ancient times. Without the zero, can you imagine the mathematics now? People use stars to guide boats and farming. See, the knowledge of the ancient people at the time, they didn't have any kind of a compass. But by observing the stars, they used to travel the boats, direct the boats. By observing the position of the stars, they're going to decide the seasons and they do cultivation and farming. They don't have any clocks. That's the reason the ancients used to believe that they love to live with the nature. They love to never live with the nature. They protect the nature. And the third one, traditional medicines, yoga and Vedas. Old Indian books and ideas that teach how to live a good life. The most of the ancient knowledge always try to teach how righteous living. Teach about the righteous living. Not just living, how to live the life in a right way. The Vedas teach about peace, respect, and nature. The different yoga poses. Okay, for example, tree pose help us to have a balance and concentration. So there are many contributions by the ancestors to the modern civilization. Even now, you know that in the modern civilization we have a yoga day, and there are many people are following traditional medicines also in the recent times, pertaining to Ayurveda. So we still have the roots of ancient education, ancient knowledge in our daily life, ancient structures and design. Can you at least imagine there are many ancient monuments still are not damaged? How did they live such a kind of a big stones and constructed big temples and which are not even damaged now? It is a replica of the intelligence of our ancient people. How people long ago built smart and strong buildings. How does it possible without having any technology during the ancient times? And we are thinking that technology was not there. Technology might be emerged, and we fail to learn it from them. Temples that stay cool without fans. Have you ever witnessed this experience? If you go to some of the ancient temples, actually, if you go inside, outside atmosphere was very hot, and inside, if you go to the temple, it is very cool. See the knowledge, see the science, what they know. We are thinking that we are in advanced, but they were in advanced. But we fail to learn it from them. That's the reason we have to learn what is our ancient knowledge and try to implement whatever the techniques and methods they followed to construct such a kind of monuments, which are not even damaged after thousands of years also. Step wells like Rani Ka Vav to store the water. In the recent times, we are failing to preserve the rainwater. But in the ancient times, they used to preserve the water. They know the value of natural resources. That many people have contributed to astronomy and cosmology too. You know that there are two important theories in the ancient times, such as geocentric theory and heliocentric theory, which is related to the solar system. What does it mean by geocentric theory? They believe that Earth is the center of the universe and all the planets were revolving around the Earth. That was the first belief of the ancestors about the universe. But later it proved wrong by another ancestor and proved that Earth is not the center of the universe, Sun is the center of the universe. All the planets are revolving around the Sun, including Earth. That is called heliocentric theory. And even now, we are following the same. So these are all the significant contributions of our ancestors to the astronomy also, the development of trade, commerce, and economics, how people did the business and used the money in the ancient times. It is a base for us, even for modern trading and modern transactions. India traded spices, silk, and gold with other countries also in the ancient times. For example, if we are giving gold to them, we are taking some other things from the other countries. Such a kind of a trading had been started long back, and they were using coins in silver and copper for trading purpose. Even now, we are following the same idea. We have the coins for transactions. Preserving arts, culture, traditions, consciousness studies. Saving and celebrating Indian music, dance, stories, and how we think. There are many dance forms have been originated in the ancient India. For example, if you take Bharatanatyam, there are many folk tales like Panchatantra. You know that the mothers and grandmothers used to teach Panchatantra to the children, which induces moral values and ethical values to the students in the form of narrating the story to the children. Celebrating festivals like Diwali with a joy. There are many festivals we are celebrating by performing some rituals which are being induced by our ancestors and given by our ancestors to the modern civilization. So if somebody is asking a question, what is the contribution of our ancestors? Without the ancestors and their knowledge, there is no modern India. That is a fact every Indian citizen has to understand it. So finally, IKS is a rich heritage of knowledge. I have already mentioned the very beginning of this lecture. Indian ancient knowledge is a repository of wisdom. And we have to learn many things from them. It combines science, spirituality, and ethics. It is not just related to one particular field. The ancestors have contributed significantly to many fields, such as philosophy, science, spirituality, ethical values, moral values, medicine, whatnot. Many fields were there. Ancient knowledge is still useful in the modern life. I have already mentioned that we are using turmeric, we are using tulsi leaves for the sake of curing some health issues. Even now also, that means we have the roots of our ancient India in our daily life. Still, we are practicing yoga, Ayurveda. Have you ever observed in the recent times, actually, most of the people who are suffering with some diseases, they are not interested to rely on allopathy. Rather than they are relying on Ayurveda. No side effects when compared to allopathy. That's why they are very much interested to go for Ayurveda. And education, even whatever the rules and policies they followed in the ancient times, they're implementing the same even in the modern education system. The modern world must be viewed through the lens of the ancient India. So without the ancient India, there is no modern civilization. So that's in brief about the first lesson, the brief view of IKS.